let's talk about the different kinds of mental diets there is out there, right? So funny, right? Because like when it comes to dietary diets, food diets, there's so many of them. Thankfully, when it comes to mental diets, there's only a few of them. But it's important for us to study them and see what they're all about, right? So let's get into it. What is a mental diet? A mental diet is simply put is guarding your thoughts, being on top of your mind, being aware of what is happening in your mind. That's very, very simply put. It's like being conscious and deliberately let and not let thoughts come into your mind, so to speak. It's a bit more complex than this, but I'll get into it. So today I want to talk about three different kind of mental diets. The first one is one that was made very famous by Emmet Fox, with his book, The 7-Day Mental Diet. The second and the third one are by Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard. Why I say the second and third one are similar, because you will see the way they go about their mental diets is pretty similar. Even though they are a bit different, but at least conceptually they are very similar. And all of them obviously have the same premises of not letting negativity conquer you, so to speak, overwhelm you. That's always the premises when it comes to this kind of mental diet, which is why we do food diets, is because why we want to stay lean, stay healthy. So there are things that we will eat on a limited basis, right? Because we know them not to work well with our system, The thing is, when it comes to diets, one food can do something wonderful for this person, and this same food can be dangerous for another person, allergies and whatnot, right? When it comes to mental diets, it's very simple. Negative thoughts are negative thoughts. Positive thoughts are positive thoughts. Negative thoughts make you feel like shit. Positive thoughts make you feel good, right? That's very simple. That's why mental diets is a very, very simple concept. However, it's not necessarily easy. And before I start talking about these two diets, I want to say something that is very important, especially for beginners or even intermediate level kind of people. Even though there's no levels to this, it's like it is what it is. We human beings, we do what we can at our own pace, right? But it is true that the concept of mental diet is very simple and very straightforward. However, in its application, in practice, it's another thing altogether. It's a whole different thing. It takes time. If you are born and you have been positive most of your life, 70-80% of your life, of your days, on your day-to-day, you are the minority. And you will have an amazing time. And to be honest, you might not necessarily, not even necessarily, you probably don't need all this stuff, Generally speaking, people who go on a mental diet, same thing as people who go on a food diet, is because they are fat, they want to lose weight, or they're skinny, they want to put on weight, There's something they don't like about the situation right now. If you have been positive on a day-to-day basis, a lot, 70-80% of the time, like, you don't need this. You don't need this. We have to learn from you. You don't have to learn from us, right? I'm talking about people such as me, the vast majority of people, that we are not taught how to deal and how to guard our minds. Obviously, meditation is a very great tool, but we're not going to talk about meditation. Not in details right on this video. However, when it comes to mental diet, it is something that will take time. And when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to law of attraction and getting your desire, mental diet is key. Mental diet is key because a lot of people, they do the affirmations, they do the visualization, the meditations, the sets, and all this good stuff, the scripting. But you might do it once, twice, 3 times a day, even 4 or 5 times a day. But what happens in between all those times? Even if you do it for 5 times a day, 20 minutes each time. That's what, 100 minutes, an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes. What about the other 14, 15 hours of your day? What are you thinking? You might be contradicting all your work. It's not enough. Yes, doing this 5, 6 times a day is great and it will create momentum. But if you have much more contradictory thoughts and emotions, then it's moot. It's useless. You have to be constantly aware. And yes, constantly. I'm not even exaggerating. It is a constant, I wouldn't say battle because this is derogatory and negative. It's a constant discipline of the mind. It is. It's so important that you always are aware of what is happening in your mind. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I have to throw this in before I get carried away. You cannot do it perfectly. It's okay to be perfectly, but you want to do it as much as you possibly can. Have fewer and fewer negative thoughts. Even the great Neville Goddard, after years of practice, he would still say to people, I myself have to have discipline because I know that I still have negative thoughts, and everybody has negative thoughts. And negative thoughts will come and go, but it's for you to not let them in the door of your mind and not indulge in them and not dwell on them. So let's start with Emmet Fox in his great book, The 7-Day Mental Diet. You can read this diet. I have no affiliation to this book. I'm just saying I read it. It's like you don't even need to read it. Type 7-Day Mental Diet Emmet Fox on YouTube. I'll try to put a link in the description box below. And you'll have the video is like 30-40 minutes. It's a very, very short book. Very, very short book. And I'll give you the nuts and bolts really quickly. It's very simple. The mental diet is for 7 days. The Emmet Fox mental diet. For 7 days, you do not let any negativity come in. What does it mean? Negative thoughts will come. That's normal. That's very, very normal to have negative thoughts trying to come in. However, you do not need to let them in. You do not need to indulge in them. How do you do this? Let's say, and I think this is one of the examples. I think I have reformulated this example to fit my way, but I will give it to you nonetheless. The example is such. When negative thoughts come to your mind, what can you do? Because you might be thinking, what the fuck am I going to do with those negative thoughts? They come, what am I supposed to do? Okay. What you do is simple. Like if you had to have a cigarette, for example, and the ashes, the burning ashes would fall on your arm, what would be your number one reflex? You would brush it away as soon as it happened. And that's exactly the same way you should do when your negative thoughts come in. As soon as it comes in, boom, you cancel them. You can even say to yourself, I cancel them, and let them go. Move on. That's exactly what you should do. You see like blah, 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 these negative shadows coming in, let out, leave. Or you can just be aware, I let go of this thought, thinking, whatever the case may be. You can note that you're thinking and leave the way you would do it in meditation. But don't do this if you're not familiar with this. Just let it go. I let go, I cancel. And it's really as simple as that. You do not let them in. You do not indulge in them. And that's his way. You can choose to follow his way or not. That's your choice. But if you are to let the negative thought come in and indulge in it, being attached to it, you have to start again from the beginning. And you don't have to start right now. Like let's say I have a negative thought and I indulge in it. It doesn't mean then I acknowledge it and I start again right now. Or even the day before. He says in his book that you have to wait 2 or 3 days before you start again. So even if you had been 3 days in and you have a negative thought, you cannot start the next day on the 4th day and start anew. No. You reach the 3rd day, you have a negative thought, it's over. And you have to wait a couple more days and start again from zero. But of course, you don't necessarily need to do this if you don't want to. However, I think it's a very, very great fundamental. I've done it and I'm going to be honest. And even if I was not completely successful. And I'm someone who meditates every day. And I've been doing this for years. and I could not do the full 7 days. And I try. I mean, I apply this to my day on a day-to-day basis. So I'm a bit looser. I don't like those time frames. Do it for 7 days. I do it as much as I possibly can every day, all the time. But if you want to choose to do it from wherever you are for 7 days, that's an amazing. However, bear in mind, and that's what he wrote in his book, it's gonna be the hardest thing you have ever done in your life. It's gonna be so hard. By the end of the day, you will be drained, exhausted. You will fall asleep like this because it's just so draining. And I can testify to this. It is completely draining when you think, because now for the first time in your life you are actually aware of all the negativity you have in your mind. And can you imagine the negativity that comes all day, every day, all the time? And especially now, you have to understand this is a detoxifying process. So you will have even more negative thoughts than prior to this practice, prior to undertaking this particular practice. It's normal, but you have to keep your head still and keep your head in the game. Same thing that happens. I'm scared of flying. So when I'm in the plane during the turbulences, all I can do is just calm myself as much as possible and keep my head in it. I'm in the plane already. For better or worse, right? I'm in the plane. I'm in the air. So what can I do? I just calm myself as much as possible. The emotion is here. Some negative thoughts are here, but I just stay still as much as possible. My head is in the game. There's nothing else I can do. I'm in the plane already. So when you're practicing it, just keep still. And it will take time. And if you fail, it's okay. If you fail after 1 day, after 2 days, after 1 hour, after 2 hours, after 3 days, after 4 days, after 5 days, after 6 days after 6 days and 3/4 of a day, it's okay. It's not about the outcome. It's about cultivating your mind. And this, even more so than your muscles when you practice them, need more repetition. Especially if you come from a place where you are completely depressed. So it's okay. It's a very, very good undertaking. And like anything, it doesn't mean that it's for you right now. There might be other practices depending on how negative you are right now. If you're depressed, agonizing, maybe it's not the best for you. Maybe it is. You have to try and see how it goes for you. If you don't feel like doing it, by all means, don't force anything. But if you feel, and you're listening to me right now, it's like, oh my God, I feel like doing it. And I talked about this mental diet by Emmet Fox to a lot of people. Only one person did it out of 10 or 15 people I've talked to about this subject, right? So it's okay. It's okay. No worries. There's so many things to try in life. Stick to that feels good, what resonates with you. Okay, so that's the Emmet Fox way of doing things. The second one, and I will stick to Joseph Murphy more so than Neville Goddard. I know I talked about Neville Goddard at the beginning, but it's pretty much the same. And I think I need a full video to talk about the way Neville Goddard does it, because it's very, very specific and it's different. The Joseph Murphy way which is my favorite way, and this you can also incorporate with the mental diet by Emmet Fox. But again, if it's easy for you, if you can do it at the beginning. But I think this is the very, very best way of doing things when it comes to manifestation. Joseph Murphy talks about canceling any negative thought before they end. That's pretty much like Emmet Fox, right? However, before the thought end, you cancel it and replace it with a counter affirmation all the time. All the time. So if you have a negative thought, let's say you want more money. Let's say you are broke right now. Let's say you have no means right now available to you. You cannot afford anything and you receive a bill. Automatically your thoughts are negative. Your emotions are negative, right? And you have thoughts such as, what am I going to do? I have no money. I'm broke. What the fuck am I going to do? You know, those kind of negative thoughts. So instead of letting them come in and overtake you and overwhelm you and conquer your mind and your mood, let's say you have, I cannot afford it. What am I going to do? Instead of finishing the thought, end it. And you replace it with your affirmation of your own making. If you want, Joseph Murphy has very, very long affirmations, prayers, whatever, auto-suggestion, whatever you call it. And he always always includes God, blah, blah. God is my endless supply. God is taking care of me, blah, blah, blah. This, I don't do it. I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't say comfortable, but I'm not Christian or Catholic, and it's okay. The word, you can say the universe take care of me, whatever the case may be. I always say, you make your own affirmation. Every time I have an affirmation, it's like even if I like one, it's like I kind of like it, but I replace it and make it work my way. Because when you do your affirmations, you have to do something short. Short is better, because if you do it during the day, it's short, very short and concise. And pick the word that make you feel better, and don't make you feel like icky, or don't make you feel like this is not real. I don't believe in this, even though you don't necessarily need to believe in them 100%. If you say the affirmation and it's just like intuitively they don't feel good, change the words, make it shorter, make it a bit longer if you want. Keep it short, but not, you can make it longer if you want, but keep it concise. So choose what makes you feel as best as you possibly can. And whenever a thought comes in, you just replace it. So let's say, for example, I'll give you an example, not necessarily using okay, I will use the Joseph Murphy affirmation. Let's say you have a bill, negative thoughts come in. What you can do? Oh, I'm broke. What am I going to do? Cancel this thought. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I'm wonderfully blessed financially. God is my endless supply. By day and by night, I am being prospered in all my ways. That's like affirmations from Joseph Murphy. And those are not the long one. As I told you, I'm not a big fan of the long-winded affirmation. There are some of them that like whole paragraphs almost. Anyway, so, but you can choose to change those affirmations completely. You have negative thoughts about money. It's like, I always have enough money. Money comes to me from all directions. I always make money. I'm great at making money. Money is my birthright. Money is attracted to me. I'm a money magnet. Stuff like this. You choose whatever works for you. So understand, the Emmet Fox way is brushing away negative thoughts, and Joseph Murphy is replacing those negative thoughts. And obviously, if you want to both work in a way that your life will be better anyway, both are hard at the beginning. There is a story in the Infinite Power to Be Rich by Joseph Murphy, that where he talks about this man I think he was a farmer, and he always had thoughts about money shortage. He always had thoughts about lack of money, etc. all the time. And his son went to see Joseph Murphy to seek help. And Joseph Murphy went to see the father and told him what to do. What I'm telling what I'm telling you guys to do now. And he would tell this particular farmer that every time he would have a negative thought, to replace it with another one. And he had to do this at the beginning for the first few days, for the first 2 or 3 days. He had to do this maybe, I'm not even joking, and that might make you feel a bit depressed, but it is true nonetheless, and it's a message of hope, because it's always hard at the beginning. He had to replace those negative thoughts maybe 60 times per hour. Per hour. And that's how hard it can be at the beginning. But what happened? After a few days, the negative momentum dissipated. And a few weeks later, he won a prize. He had a lottery ticket, and he won a prize, and which covered his debts. And then after, he was prosperous in other endeavors. There was no specifics when it comes to this. But it goes to show that it goes a long way when you start doing this. And again, whether it's Emmet Fox, whether it's Joseph Murphy, whether it's Neville Goddard, it's gonna take some time and some effort. It doesn't mean that it's gonna take years, depending on how much negativity. Maybe for some areas of your life, it might take years, but it's okay. for a lot of your life, just by virtue of doing even the Emmet Fox diet, of just brushing away those negative thoughts, your life will be so much better. Even just mentally and inside. And that's the worst that can happen. So by all means, I strongly recommend you guys read more about this. If you have any question, leave them in the description below. Leave them in the description box below. I'm very happy to talk about this subject. It's my favorite subject. But remember one thing. Going to the gym is easier than this. Going to the gym, no matter how hard it is for you right now to go to the gym, if it's hard for you right now, going to the gym, you go to the gym what? 3 times a day? 3 times a week? 4 times? 5 times? It's still what? When you go to the gym, what? 1 hour? 2 hours? Even if you go 2 hours for each session, that's what like, and if you want to go 5 days a week, that's like what? 10 hours. Let's go even further. Let's exaggerate. If you go to the gym 2 hours per day, 7 days a week, that's 14 hours. Let's include 3 meals a day. So that's what, 14 hours, and maybe cooking and stuff like this, a couple more, like for 20, 30 hours. If you are if you are a bodybuilder pretty much, that's like 40 hours. That's nothing. You awake what, 16, 17, 18 hours a day? That's constant. Constantly. That's practice. That's why Emmet Fox said that it was the hardest practice to do in life. But he also said that it is the best thing you can ever do in your life. Having control of your mind. Control of your mind. Having a God in front of your mind. Choose deliberately and not let negativity poison you and conquer you and overwhelm you. So remember this. It takes time and it's worthwhile. And it takes time because it's worthwhile. And because everything that's really, really worthwhile takes some effort, takes some discipline. And by all means, try it out. Don't force it. Just let it happen. Don't put any pressure. Don't think about any outcome. Just do it for the purpose of doing it, for the sake of doing it. And do it because you will get better by doing more and more repetition. Take your time. I also really believe that it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest thing you can do in your life, because that your life can change completely. Not overnight, but it can change completely over time for the better. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so happy to make this video. I hope this video will help a lot of people. If you have any comment, as I said before, just leave them in the comment box below. I'm starting to get hungry, so I'm going to go buy some food. And I hope you guys are having a great day. Please like, share, comment, hit that bell button for more videos. I appreciate your support and it means everything to me. It helps my channel grow tremendously. And thank you so much. All my other information is in the description box below. Coaching, my books, my private Facebook group, and also my second YouTube channel. Check this out. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon.